Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the IC Old People Podcast. I'm Dr. Bruce, your host. The IC Old People Podcast is a continuing discussion on aging, with me being the primary target or person of interest within the podcast. I started the podcast on my 60th birthday. I'm presently 66 years old, and I plan on continuing the podcast until I'm 70. A 10-year project that I'm well into. This is actually our 79th episode, and I've enjoyed doing it over the years. Started out quite frequently, became less and less so, and now I'm kind of getting back to the point where I'm trying to do it a couple times a month. Today is March 23rd, 2026, and we are still living in the time of madness. The world is a little bit crazy right now. There's a lot going on, but this is not a political affairs broadcast. This is simply a discussion on aging and what it's like to age in this time. One of the things I like to talk about, of course, is my health, and I've certainly bucked the trend because I certainly, as someone growing up, as a young person, I thought that when I was in my 60s, I would start to see my health decline from 60 to 70. But I can say that that's actually been the opposite of what has happened with me personally. My health is actually much, much better than it was in the 50s. And that's been almost 100% due to lifestyle changes. I quit drinking when I was 60 years old. I'm almost at my sixth year of sobriety. And that helped me to lose quite a bit of weight. And it also helped eliminate a number of stomach problems that I had, digestive issues that I had. When I was in my 50s, I was hospitalized twice for blockages in my intestines, and that kind of thing just doesn't happen anymore. My bowels and my digestive system work very, very well. I've got great energy. I sleep well. I'm actually doing very, very well in most regards as far as health. I take no medication, absolutely zero medication, and I actually gave up supplements as well. I was a big supplement user at one time, taking vitamin D, taking vitamin C, vitamin E, and I just gave it all up. I didn't see the benefit of it, and I've noticed no health issues by giving it up. I get plenty of vitamin D because I spend a lot of time in the sun and enjoy being in the sun. Don't mind it, don't have a fear of the sun, actually know how healthy it is for me. So I've really bucked the trend of thinking that you're in this kind of slow decline, where actually I'm healthier now than I was in my 60s. Today I weighed myself and I'm weighing it at a really nice 228 pounds. And when I started this podcast, I was 245 pounds, often as high as 250 pounds, because when you're as big as I am, to waver 5 or 10 pounds even is not that big a deal. But I've been consistently now below 230. And I can attribute that to the fact that I also stopped what was a really bad habit, was doing night eating. I was doing a lot of night eating. So even though it was good quality food, I was still eating a lot just before I went to bed. So now I have a strict cutoff time at 9 p.m. And so far it's been working really, really well. I was sitting watching the hockey game last night, and I thought to myself, oh, I just feel kind of hungry. I want to have a little snack before my cutoff time. I looked at my watch, and it was 9:02, and I said, oh, I've got to follow it. If I break this one, I'll break the next one. I'll break the next one. So I just went without, and it was just fine. Absolutely no problem. There are two things that have deteriorated within me, and we've talked about this in the past, is that I've developed terrible tinnitus, and along with tinnitus, I've had progressive hearing loss. So my hearing is getting progressively worse. Just had it tested about a month ago, and I wear hearing aids now, and they had to adjust my hearing aids and increase them. So I still cannot watch television or movies without subtitles, even with the hearing aids. So my comprehension is quite bad. I hope that this decline slows, because at this point it has been a rapid decline in my hearing. So I hate to go completely deaf, although I can think of disabilities much worse than deafness. The other thing, of course, is arthritis. I mean, it's unrelenting. I'm actually watching in real time as one of my fingers is starting to bend outward. My baby finger on the distal joint is developing this nodule on the medial side, and it's pushing it out, so it's forming like a V. I can remember my mother's fingers when she was alive, and they were all gnarled up and twisted and turned. And I can see the beginning of that happening in my hand now. But it's only in this one joint. It's quite painful to touch the nodule, and the malformation of little the little finger on the left hand is quite striking now when I put my hand up in front of my eyes. But it's not the end of the world, of course. I mean, arthritis, wear and tear, the joints can only take so much, and I've been pounding on these joints for 66 years. I also use my hands in my work, so I got a lot of activity using my hands, so they got an extra wear and tear, I'm sure. And the arthritis in my back is bad, but livable. Like I said, I take no medication, absolutely zero medication, and I'm quite proud of that point. I was watching a Tony Robbins podcast the other day, and he talked about the four seasons of life. And he said from 0 to 21 years of age is spring. From 22 years old to 42 years old is summer. From 43 years old to 64 is fall. And from 65 to death is winter. So I'm now into the winter of my life, according to Tony Robbins. And I always understood that. I used to use the term "I'm in the back nine," and right now, if I was using a golf analogy, I'm probably on the 15th hole. So I've only got a few holes left, and that's okay with me. I've lived a good life. I've been present a lot of it over the last few years, particularly. I've had ups, downs. I've traveled. I've been around the world. I did a couple episodes on all the different places I've traveled to in the world. And right now, I'm in a really good position mentally and physically, of course, what I just talked about. One of the reasons I'm in a good position mentally is that I found a new job that I really like, and it's a job that actually has really helped my marriage and really developed a greater bond between my wife and I. And it's funny that that's a lot to put on a job, right? Like, how can a job do something like that? Well, I'll tell you what that job is. And I'm at about my fifth anniversary of doing this job, and I'm quite good at it. And it's really been a lifesaver for me because I needed something to keep me going in my retirement because I did retire at 60 years old from my practice. So I never thought it would be the case, but it is. Like at this point right now, I am, for lack of a better term, I am a house husband. I take care of the house, and in fact, I hate that term, house husband. So I looked it up. I went on my handy AI assistant, and I asked, "Give me a better term than house husband," and it came up with a couple of good terms that I kind of like. And I like the term domestic engineer, household manager, or family manager, because that's really what I am doing at this point. I'm managing the day-to-day operations of my home. My wife is younger than me and she's still working. She's a nurse for the company that we own, Victoria Elder Care, and she is doing a lot of night shifts and she's managing a couple of the houses. So she's very busy all the time. So I've taken over the duties. It started slowly, but as the years went on, I just did more and more. So I make sure the house is clean, the dishes, the cupboards are in order, the groceries are bought. I don't make meals because I'm really not a very good cook. I mean I could make something simple like spaghetti or chili, and I can make a crock of beans in my mother's old bean pot that I inherited, but that's about it. So as far as day to day making salads and making dinners and everything, my wife still does that. But I do the cleanup operation. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer, or not the cook. I'm the chief bottle washer, and I enjoy the role. And I'll tell you why it's been something that's been good for our marriage as well. Because throughout our marriage, and we've been married for over 40 years now, especially when I was spiraling into alcoholism, I was very, very critical of my wife's homemaking skills. I was very critical. I didn't like the way the laundry sat around. I didn't like dishes in the sink. I didn't like it when the kids were throwing their clothes around or their books were scattered all over the house. And I was quite critical of it. And I would say that the majority of the fights that we had in that time were over those types of things, that I wasn't happy with the level of cleanliness or order that was occurring in my home when I came in, because this was a time when I was working all the time. I worked an incredible amount of hours. I had one of the busiest practices in Ontario. So I was dedicated. I spent a lot of my time there. So when I came home, I always had a beautiful, hot, homemade meal ready for me when I walked in the door. But then, because of my immaturity and because of my drinking issue, I certainly wasn't as grateful for that as I should have been. And I would be hypercritical of all these little things like the dishes not being done or the laundry not being folded or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we would fight over these issues, and it was a difficult time. So by me taking over these jobs, I'm actually putting my actions where my mouth is, and I started to do them myself. And by doing this, I took this burden off my wife, and I took on the chores. And I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing laundry. I enjoy folding laundry, putting things away, make the bed, change the bed sheets, make sure the floor. Actually, before I started this podcast, I did a quick wipe up on the floor because we have two dogs, and those dogs in the spring bring in a lot of dirt on their paws. And there was a lot of dirt around the yard or around the floor. I wanted to make sure it was all clean and everything was in order before I sat down to do this podcast. What's nice about it, and why I think of myself as a family manager or a domestic engineer as opposed to a house husband, is because there's a lot involved in trying to keep order in a home. And I've been really good at that because I ran a really tight practice and a really effective practice. So I know how to plan, and I know how to schedule things. So I've really got things down to an art, a schedule when I do the laundry, when I do this, when I do that, when the bed sheets get changed. All of that is kind of scheduled in my mind. So knowing that, I have it in order and I can feel better about doing it, and I know that I will get it done. I've always been subject to lists. I like to make lists. I like to have a calendar that has the particular things that have to be done in a day, all laid out right in front of me. So I'm not going by the seat of my pants. I actually know exactly what I'm going to do. I've gone through every cupboard in this house since I got back from my holidays in Punta Cana, and I've organized them extensively, gotten rid of excess materials and things that we didn't need. And now I'm moving on to some of the cupboards in the other parts of the house. But it's something that I enjoy doing. I like order. So by instead of me whining about it to my wife that I would like this thing ordered, I would like things to be put in order. I just do it myself, and I'm very happy to be doing that. So it's been empowering to me to take over these tasks, and I feel very satisfied with it. So there's a lot more involved, right? It's not just cleaning and laundry. I mean, just financial management of the house, the budget, that kind of thing. Coordinating when things happen, like when the pool gets opened, when we're going to take family trips or holidays, when we're going to go and visit my wife's elderly parents, strategic planning, long-term planning. We recently put some new additions into the house where we put a new roof on and we put some new siding. So those things all had to be arranged and planned. And I was very, very happy to be doing that and giving my wife an ability to just do her work the way she gave me that ability when I was working so hard back in the 90s and the 2000s. And I was kind of arrogant when I first took over this job. And I was thinking, boy, this is easy. I can do this. I can be finished all these chores and be done by 10 o'clock. And I'm walking out the door with my dogs going for a walk on the trails. And then because I was thinking in an arrogant kind of way, I was thinking just what the heck was my wife doing all the time that she was constantly unable to do these types of jobs to this degree of quality. And then of course, it hits you. We had 4 children. We had 4 children in 5 years, and those children all required things. They were always demanding her attention. They needed this, they needed that, they needed to be driven to sports, they needed to be driven to extracurricular activities, to music lessons, they need to be driven over to their friends. All of those things were going on where I don't have any of those because I am in the winter of my life and I don't have those responsibilities. I don't have young children running around tugging at my leg, telling when I'm trying to clean the floor and wanting me to give them my attention. So I can give 100% attention to this domestic job of being, a domestic engineer, a household manager. And because I can give it 100% attention, of course, I can do it very, very well and I can do it very, very quickly. Where my wife would never have had that luxury with those young children, and not only young children, when they became teenagers, they were even more demanding, right? They needed even more of her time and her attention. And I was not there. I was working. I worked until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, almost every night of the week. I ate dinner by myself at night. My kids were usually in bed. When they were young, they were in bed when I got home. And when they were older, they'd be watching TV or they'd be, upstairs in their room reading, that kind of thing. This was before laptops and compute and iPads and everything. So they weren't all sitting there staring at screens. They were doing their own thing though. I had a large house with a number of recreation areas, and the kids would all be doing that when I'd come home, and I would sit down and have a meal. So I rarely ate with my family. I used to, of course, on the weekends we would eat together, but on the weekdays, very, very rarely. So I think I have guilt about that I was so hypercritical about the state of my home when I really should have been much more empathetic and realizing that my wife's time was really pulled in a number of different directions, and she did absolutely the best she could. And I should have maybe pulled in a little bit more. Maybe on the weekends should have pulled in a little bit more, done a little bit more work, and maybe I should have took over the laundry way back then because I didn't realize that I enjoyed doing laundry so much. It's really quite relaxing and it's very satisfying activity for me. So yeah, so I'm a domestic engineer now. I've been at it for about 5 years, and I'm really liking it. It's satisfying and it feels good. In fact, as I'm sitting here, I'm looking over and seeing that there's a little bit of dust on that one table. I'm going to make sure I get my duster out and fix that up. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm in a good spot, and aging isn't as bad as I thought it would be. When I was younger, I figured that 60 to 70. And you have to remember, when I was young in the 60s, people who were 60, 65 years old, they were almost dead. Like they were ready for death. Like they literally looked like old men because they smoked all their lives. They worked in really bad work environments, and really they were headed for the grave. Whereas today, I mean, my God, I mean, I'm healthy. I feel good. I can walk 4 or 5 kilometers. I do that every single day. Um, Active, alive, a lot of verve, a lot of life left in me. So it's a different time, of course. It's a different time where you can recreate yourself and become a completely different person. And I gave up alcohol 6 years ago. Alcohol was a curse in my life that was just slowly killing me and was destroying my life and my relationships. And I reinvented myself from that moment. I changed and I became a different person. And it's the same with this domestic engineer stuff here. It's it, I would have never thought in a million years that this would be something that I would be doing and something that I would be satisfied doing, and yet here I am. So life throws you curves sometimes, and sometimes they're really good curves. Sometimes it's a good track to be on, and right now I feel that I'm on a really good track. So, God willing, things continue in this good manner. And if you've listened to this point, I've got to tell you I love you and I appreciate you. I've welcomed a lot of new listeners to the show. It's just been phenomenal. I've been so thankful for that. Next time we talk, it'll be my 80th episode. And if you haven't gone back into some of the older episodes, please do. There are some that are quite interesting. One I recommend definitely is Memories of Mum. My mum passed away 2 years ago now. Well, it'll be 3 years ago in June. And I've got a pretty good story in there about her. And it really makes me think of her with such kindness and with such love. So check out the some of the older episodes. I think you'll enjoy them. Some are pretty raw, and some are pretty good. So just like life, so, sometimes it's pretty good, and sometimes it's pretty raw, but it's still life. So until next time, this is Dr. Bruce signing off, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again.